Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this very special episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Yes, we are three Wayward sons from three different mothers. First of all, I am the stunning one. I am Sean, and we are coming off of an amazing Survivor Series and a wild and crazy post AEW Dynamite from Chicago that I know Jake's going to tell us all about. And of course, the third member of this trio is David the Smart Mark. We are recording right before the two biggest matches of the day in the World Cup, England versus Wales, US versus Iran. So go England, go USA. But it's a very special day for us here on the show because I have a special interview with Mila Smidt. Now, I saw Mila the first time back in 2021. She did one TV taping for NXTUK. She faced Aew Factory. We're going to have a two-part interview. In the first part, we're going to get to know Mila's beginning up to about 2018, where she had a serious ACL injury. In the second part, we talk about her going to Germany for a tryout with the WWE and leading on to the rest of her career up to date. So, guys, I know you listened to the interview. It's going to be pretty dang awesome.
You did a great job interviewing her, Sean. I gotta give you props on that, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's not a disappointment, guys. Stay tuned. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, bienvenue, welcome in, come and see in. Nice to see you all. Nice to be back. Packed show, Full Gear, Jake live in Chicago at Dynamite and Survivor Series. And as usual, I'll be the voice of reason while those two explode all over the goodness of professional wrestling.
You are the stickler for truth and honesty, David. So I got to give you on that. But yeah, we are in the midst of the holiday season now, so it's going to be very busy, especially in the upcoming few weeks.
And I have to say, because I said it earlier for the World of Sports show, the Cowboys won on Thanksgiving night. Yay!
Thank goodness.
Okay, gentlemen, let's dive right into it. We're going to go back to Full Gear. What a episode this was for AEW. Probably the best pay-per-view they had all year, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, this was a good pay-per-view, especially for Full Gear. And considering how New Jersey was reacting to throughout the show really started strong with the first two matches, which was the tag team matches, and as well as Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus in the steel cage match. Really, really well paced, but I gotta say, there was no way they could maintain that pace. But the four-way match delivered, and they closed the night with a few entertaining matches. But I got to say, really happy overall that MJF won the AEW World Championship. Maybe it could have been booked differently than I would have booked it. But overall, I was very satisfied, and it was a great way for AEW to close the year with a good pay-per-view.
Okay, gentlemen, the steel cage match being the first match out of the gate on the pay-per-view proper, I was so happy for Jungle Boy to get this victory because I felt like this whole feud has been start and stop with him, and I felt like he didn't get all what he needed until this very last moment. And going forward, what do you want to see from Jungle Boy after this victory?
Man, it's very interesting because as you mentioned, David, I was live at Dynamite in Chicago, and the dark segment, the closing segment before we got sent home is that Jungle Boy, he really wanted to wrestle that week in Chicago, but unfortunately, doctors recommended that he take the week off. But he had a really good send off speech for the crowd, and then all of a sudden he got interrupted by Andrade's manager Jose, which is it was more of a comedic segment, just making fun of before he took the bump for Jungle Boy. Man, it's kind of interesting that they decided to do that for the live crowd. I do think Jungle Boy needs to go higher up in the card, in my opinion. After thinking about it, he could have a good program with Andrade, with a good feud. Maybe with Sammy Guevara, but hopefully this is the time for Jungle Boy to finally take some steps forward.
Retirement. That's what I'd like to see Jungle Boy do. Retire. It's up. Jake, you raised some really good points there. All right, you really did. Sammy Guevara, yeah, great feud. There'll be a couple of decent matches, but like everything else in AEW, they dropped the ball. They've had the chance with Jungle Boy. They've dragged. Now, I'm not going to be a hypocrite because when we go to Survivor Series, I'm going to accuse AEW of doing something that they've actually done here. They built this storyline on and off when it suits them. There's been no continuity other than you've had his Luchasaurus with Christian, his Luchasaurus with Jungle Boy. They even swapped him for a week. What the hell they were thinking going on. And I think it's killed Jungle Boy. Now, obviously, I have to bow to Jake being in the arena for Dynamite and the crowd reaction he got, which they're going to listen to and they're going to work with, obviously. But how many times have they had to put Jungle Boy over as a proper, serious singles competitor? He's a natural face. He's more white meat than a loin of pork. So they've got the opportunity to do it. They've blown it like they do with most of their booking. That's my opinion. Hopefully, Jake's actually right, Jake being the voice of reason, and because Sammy Guevara would make a great feud. But for what? Who's he going to feud with, Jake? You mentioned about him being pushed up the bill, which is a perfectly fair point. But who would you have him go after?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you're the glass half empty person, which I am, really
and I'm sorry for that. But I look at it. Well, my background with wrestling, and this is where Survivor Series this week. Sean talked about it being AEW Show of the Year. Survivor Series, without a doubt, I know we're coming on to it, was WWE's Show of the Year. I can't, nothing has come close. I actually didn't enjoy Full Gear. It was all right. They've done worse. But I didn't enjoy Full Gear. And this match was okay. Both performers performed above their ability. But I was like, well, you can see Jungle Boy's going over. What are they going to do with him? What's the point? And that's more of where I'm at. And yeah, you raised a great point. They want to push him. Finally, they want to push him. But who does he go after? He's not going to go after. If they ever go after MJF, he's not going to beat MJF. So credibility-wise, in the build to that, he's not going to go over MJF. Samoa Joe, is he going to form? Maybe get a trios. Go if he can find, go in with someone like the Acclaimed or something like that. But he's still mid card for me, and it doesn't excite me. Sure.
Okay, gentlemen, and the solution is Ethan Page. Ethan Page isn't doing anything right now. He's a heel. Let's see Ethan Page versus Jungle Boy. I think that'd be a dang good match.
Sure, but would that would that be like interesting overall and for the general crowd?
It's still lower mid card.
Yeah, I mean it's still like lower in the card though. So, but I probably so.
Okay, so let's go into the second match, cause we have returning conquering heroes here at Full Gear in the form of the Elite as they face the Death Triangle. Now, coming into this match, I had a feeling and I was worried they were going to give the titles right back to the Elite. Now, luckily they have decided to do a best of 7, so right now Death Triangle is up 2-0. Spoilers alert. But gentlemen, what do you think about the Elite's return to Full Gear?
It's interesting that they've decided to go with the best of 7 matches, best of 7 a series, and I probably won't be bored with this, with all these 6 guys having matches for the next several weeks. I took the usual sit back and enjoy the action rather than just trying to keep up with the in-ring craziness from these 6. I'll hit the key moments. This was a wild spot fest that you had to know it would be. It's New Jersey, and you would know that the crowd would definitely be behind the Elite. But yeah, but man, like it was. Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it is. And it's man, like the crowd, and knowing the Elite and what they did for being the Elite the week after, because you heard the crowd chanting FCM Punk, and it was kind of interesting how the week after on being the Elites they spotlighted that as well for a while. I was kind of shocked that they did that. Some say it will be petty, but yeah, I mean, what were we gonna say, David?
Watch the match. It was everything I expected it was, good and bad. I don't need to rub it in your faces. Jake, you've summed it up. Good and bad. It was what it was. The results surprised me, and then they announced it was going to be best of 7. It was like,
I thought it was the right results in my opinion. Just keep it on.
Yeah, but did you expect before they announced the best of 7? Did you expect them Death Triangle to go over? Be honest.
Not this match. So
no. Yeah. So therefore, you can see how they're going to go. I wouldn't even be surprised to see the Elite pull back from 3-0 down. But obviously, ultimately, they're going to go over and take the trios titles. They've allowed Death Triangle a little bit longer to get it. And I with all the stuff that's come out now, they could have the best wrestling matches in the world. I couldn't give two craps about Kenny and the Bucks anymore. And I just couldn't because of the backstage politicking. And it's totally switched me off to their matches, which is a shame because in this, there's three guys I absolutely love in the Lucha Brothers. And obviously, I'm a big fan of Pac, always have been. So I'm done with it, I'm afraid. All 7 matches will be very similar, with ultimately the Elite coming out on top. Surely.
Okay, gentlemen. Next matchup was for the TBS title, and I was perfectly happy with this match being short and simple as Jade Cargill gets her title back. And what is next for Jade Cargill? Because they kind of took a detour with this feud, and I felt like a little bit of her luster has gone away.
I could hear our mutual friend Dan the Mouth Lovransky just so elated that this match was short. I mean, there you go. The story going into this match was a hot angle with Rose stealing the title belt and stealing Jade's car. This was another cluster mess going into it. I don't know where you go from here because, Jade Cargill has been booked, as the strong champion. But yeah, I mean, I don't know where you can go from here. I assumed it was Cargill because, Rose was the thief, but Rose was actually like a comical thief and then had a babyface Eddie Guerrero tribute entrance, which was pretty weird in this match. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. But Jade Cargill, she is what it is. She is what she is. Still not really a fan of her in a way. But it's still
you're
still
the nicest man in the world. You really are the nicest man in the world. Two schools of thought here, Sean, I'll do them quickly. Retirement or Jamie Hayter. Neither will be good.
David, I don't want Jade Cargill within 500 miles of Jamie Hager at the
minute. Yeah, no one does. But no one does. Probably what they're going to do. They've got no choice. Who else? Who else credibility size-wise and ability-wise can stand against Cargill the way they built her? And also because of her physical standing. Jamie Hayter could. Britt Baker wouldn't, whatever ability he's got.
Yeah.
We saw we're coming on to it, none of the women's matches on this card were any good. Let's cut to the chase and be brutally honest about it. All 3 were rubbish, and I can't believe that I was pleasantly surprised when we go on to by some of the War Games Survivor Series ladies matches. That actually helped reinstall a little bit of bitterness that I have towards women's wrestling.
The AEW women's division.
Don't let them do it because it looks bad. Yeah. They can do it, great. I'm all for them. But anyway, Sean, go on.
Okay, gentlemen. Up next, probably the best match of the evening. I'm going to say it's the ROH World Title match. It's the Fatal 4-Way between Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Claudio Castagnoli, and Bryan Danielson.
I'll let you go first, David.
Can't fail. Sean's right, match of the night by a long, long, long way. One of the big pluses of the card. I'm enjoying Jericho Castagnoli, and I'm enjoying the way they're teasing Danielson at the moment. Even though the Dynamite that you're going to talk about, I did not like what they did with him, having him begging at Moxley's feet, because Danielson just doesn't beg. He doesn't have to beg. He can tie Moxley up, in knots, but that's just a side point. Enjoyed the match, really good match. Jakey won.
Yeah, a hell of a 4-way match. It looked like the finish may have been botched, and they improvised by having Jericho hit the Judas effect on Claudio a second time. But even if that's the case, it didn't look bad because Jericho landed on Guevara the first time, which played into their friction. But this was really fun, and all 4 wrestlers really delivered. But it'll be interesting what's going to come up. I mean, I saw a Dynamite Rampage on Chicago the next week, and it was kind of iffy seeing what the follow-up was, and then we'll get into it. But overall, this is one hell of a great match, and it was a little over 20 minutes, which was a great time for it.
Okay, gentlemen. Up next, we get the second of our women matches. And it was the return of Saraya to the ring after 5 years away from professional wrestling. And she's facing Britt Baker. And I was like the fans. the first spot where they do the neck breaker onto the apron, I was sitting there going like, she just got recovered from a neck injury. Please get up, Saraya. Oh, wait, Saraya's up. She's working. Okay, good. I'm ready to go into this match now. But it took me out of the match for the first half of this.
Yeah. This was such an easy story to tell with Saraya returning to the ring after a 5-year injury layoff to face, the top heel in the division. But yeah, man, this was such a terrible build going into it. And then you got the top heel felt like she needs to portray herself as a babyface during her promos. Like, why did it go in that direction? I know that she felt slighted by Saraya downplaying her accomplishments, but no matter the cause, they blurred the lines, and it made it feel like WWE versus AEW for some reason, and made this so much more confusing than it ever should have been. Which is it's too bad. I mean, the match was like around 10 minutes, but it was, unfortunately, it was nothing special, and the crowd wasn't nearly as hot as it should have been for this match.
You two just summed it up. We haven't seen the best of Saraya since moving. For some reason, she seems extremely nervous. The match was hugely disappointing, which there are caveats, there are reasons for that, that you can understand. However, if she ain't ready, don't put her on that big stage, because, as Jake said, the crowd weren't as hot as they should have been, and they're not going to get hotter going forward, because they've seen mistakes, botches, and even Saraya's admitted she's made mistakes, which is, awfully honest of her to hold her hand up and say, yeah, I messed up, what have you. But this is professional wrestling. You hold your hand up to the crowd on the current day, you're only going to get, it's not going to help you. And that was hugely, hugely disappointing.
Well, you got to swim with the sharks to survive. So
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, gentlemen. Up next was a 3-way for the TNT title, and this was a big freaking Hobbs fight. As we have Powerhouse Hobbs, we have Wardlow, and we had Samoa Joe, your current ROH TV champion, and he leaves this contest as a dual champion. And this was probably my second favorite match of the night.
David, what do you think first?
I agree. I've agreed with Sean that's twice. No, I've agreed with you. It's just getting scary.
That's fine.
Yeah, my second main event, really good. 3 good. One good worker, 2 potentially good workers, all big guys. I like the Joe turn because I've always loved heel Samoa Joe, which he hasn't been lately, and he can do what he wants. I was a little bit intrigued by taking the title off Wardlow, because, again, we're going back into Jungle Boy territory. Wardlow is the star to be pushed. However, are they having him go after MJF and reigniting that storyline? That's
a great point.
That's the only logic I can see them of taking the title off Wardlow. Maybe a rematch which Joe wins. I don't know. I don't care. But obviously this time when Wardlow knocked 7 bells out of him last time for a storyline purpose and it worked, this time MJF can have his revenge and Wardlow gets pushed into the main event. But I enjoyed the match, as Sean said. For me, exactly right. Second best match on the card.
I enjoyed this match too. I was really hoping that Hobbs getting the title shot meant that he was in for a strong push. But it turned out he was going to be there to take the pin. But yeah, Joe becoming double champion, and I love Joe for many, many years. I kind of like the result here. I wish they would just merge those title belts because they have so many belts as it is anyway. But it's interesting to see what Joe holding titles in both AEW and ROH leads to. So, but yeah, I mean. Hopefully this is not the end of the push that Wardlow needs to get bigger. Because what sense is there besides having a feud with MJF, igniting that feud again in coming up next. So we'll just see where it leads to.
You could do that easily.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen. Up next was a match that honestly should have been saved for that Dynamite that you went to, Jake, in Chicago. Because it's Sting and Darby Allin versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. It was an okay match. But on this card, if they removed it, I would have missed it.
Yeah, I mean, if this was taken away, I don't think anybody would have minded it. But it was a garbage match brawl. The fans still love Sting. I thought the heels would go over to give Sting and Allen something to avenge. But I'm still guessing we haven't seen the last of his feud, unfortunately. It was okay overall.
Now, there's another Jungle Boy syndrome that I mentioned. I'm not just being a miserable old bastard here. Darby Allin, yeah? You've got people like Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, to a lesser degree, Orange Cassidy. These are all stars who came into the company right from the start and have stuck around. They're always around mid-card, lower mid-card, but they've never been pushed. It's developing. I'll be interested to see where they go with Ricky Starks. Because, again, he's another one. Sean and myself, I don't want to swear at you, Jake, but, we've always been a fan of his from his NWA days. That was when NWA was quite good, all right, mate?
No, you're good. But, yeah, I agree with you, man, because, like, Darby Allin and Jungle Boy, the company, a lot of people in the company and the fans as well, perceive them to be as part of the four pillars of AEW. And when we talk about four pillars, we go back to the classic four pillars, Misawa, Kawada, Kobashi, Taue. They were received as stars in all Japan. And people consider them to be consider Darby and Jack Perry to be part of the four pillars, but they're not. The booking are not treating them as as part of the four pillars, which is really concerning to me, because they should be going up. Yeah, they should be going up the card if they want to portray them
Darby's stock has got lower than even Jack's. To be fair, I think Darby's almost discarded. And then, we need somebody to do something stupid. Darby, come on, we need you to throw you. We need to. You nearly half kill yourself.
They just keep putting him in garbage matches, in street fights, which is I know that he can do better than that. So.
Yeah.
Especially his match against MJF last year. That was a great match.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got it in him. He's got the ability. He's got the charisma, and he's got the personality as well. Sure.
Okay, gentlemen. Up next was probably my favorite women's match of the evening, and I kind of felt sorry for both ladies. It's Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter for the official AEW Women's World Championship. Gentlemen, it was a good match, but the crowd was dead for it, and I felt sorry for Jamie.
Yeah, to give a little context here, so on the Wednesday after the show, it was announced by Renee Paquette that Thunder Rosa won't be able to return from her injury. She and AEW management have came up with a deal, and they have decided that she's no longer going to be the official AEW Women's World Champion, and it's going to be Jamie Hayter. So that's definitely fine. We finally have an answer to that. But
what was the crowd's reaction to that, Jay?
It was a huge pop. It was a huge pop from all of us. So.
Because obviously on television you don't get the actual. It doesn't. It loses something coming back over the telly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, overall, this was a decent match, roughly 15 minutes. The interference in the match felt less necessary than it did in the main event, where more of a story could have been told. But again, though, AEW gave the vocal fans what they wanted by putting the title on Hayter. But I think the crowd really was, really got exhausted after several matches, and thus the bulk of the audience seemed content with how they got there. So Hayter's connection with the crowd can be said, considering that she's a heel and we know so little about her character. So here's hoping that Hayter in store.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's not going to take much to turn. Now, Sean, can I ask you a quick question?
Go ahead.
Was Toni Storm in this match?
Yes, Toni Storm was in this match. Yes.
So we're going to do a simple equation here, boys. We're going to go back to school and do some mathematics. Toni Storm plus question mark equals what?
The best match ever.
No. Jake, have a go.
Toni Storm plus question mark.
Yeah. Question mark is a variable. So it could be any female wrestler in the world.
I don't know.
Toni Storm plus question mark equals what?
The question mark from NWA.
Yeah, very good. Wow. Right, the answer is Toni Storm plus question mark equals dog shit. Because Toni Storm's in it. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. But I don't know what's happened to her. She has not had one, in my opinion, you're entitled to yours, and I respect both of you immensely, you know that.
No, it's
But
fine.
this
It's fine.
included, she has not had one good match in AEW, and I felt so sorry for Jamie Hayter, despite being delighted that they put the belt on her. Because the crowd, they've still got time for her to get the crowd on side for when she inevitably goes up against Britt and then probably goes on to get against Jade. That is all I have to say on the matter. Tony Storm plus question mark equals dog shit. Get the bleeper out, Sean. Sorry.
Okay, gentlemen. Up next is the third in the Trios series for the AEW World Tag Team titles. It's Swerving Your Glory versus the Everybody Loves the Acclaim. This was a good match, and I kind of like the fact that it was Keith Lee, not Swerve Strickland, deciding to break the team up. And the way they got to it was pretty interesting, as we saw Swerve offered the pliers to Keith Lee, and Keith Lee just lift up Anthony Bowen and told Swerve Strickland, "Pound sand, I'm out."
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness this is the last we've seen of this feud, because it's gone on so many times. Like, I mean, look, this is okay. This is an okay match. I mean, look, the Acclaimed are hot as is already. This was a step down from their previous two matches, and yet, the right team still went over, and the storytelling of Strickland and Lee split was well done. So maybe except for the fact that Strickland wanted Lee to use the pliers as a weapon, which is, in my opinion, a little too similar to Pac wanting Ray Phoenix to use the ring bell hammer as a weapon. So, but otherwise, the match was entertaining, and my worry is that where does well, maybe this could lead to Keith Lee and Strickland having a program together, but it'll be pretty interesting to see. I'm really curious to see what those two will do after this. So
Okay, gentlemen, Swerve Strickland is AEW's second best heel after MJF, and I feel like this breakup is the best thing for him. I want to see what they do with him from here on out. Mark my word, he is the second best heel in this company.
I can see the potential, and I'll add into that. I hope he sticks to himself and not join a like we see with every other heel in the company, join a faction. So I really want to see him what he can do on his own. So and not team up with the Firmer and all that. So
Okay, gentlemen, before we leave this match, I want to see the Acclaim versus FTR as the next feud, because I feel like you can have this feud go together and the belts can go over to FTR without hurting the Acclaim's popularity.
I don't know if they're gonna do it.
They won't, because the EVPs will not want FTR to be the World Tag Team Champions. Without a doubt, FTR will never win the AEW Tag Team Champions again.
Yeah.
They'll have all the other companies' belts, but just the booking won't allow it.
Yeah. I mean, we know the Bucks don't have heat with FTR for some reason. I don't know why. Simply because they're better than them. That's
I think
the reason. So yeah.
The FTR are friends with Cornette, very good friends with Cornette, and obviously Cornette will not relinquish his opinion on them. And there's so much going on with this, but unfortunately, Sean's right in that they claimed FTR is a natural progression. Whether it will be allowed, let alone a title change, is another matter.
Yeah. I mean, they have enough, FTR has enough belts as it is. I would rather see them defend the IWGP tag titles in New Japan. And I hope we can get to see them at Wrestle Kingdom, since it's going to be one night. So, which I'm really happy that they're going back to that formula. So,
Okay, gentlemen, it's time for the main event. It's Jon Moxley with William Regal in his corner versus everybody's favorite heel, MJF. And this match kind of lived up to the hype, and I love the ending because we thought we knew the devil, but the devil was right there beside us the whole freaking time.
I called this weeks ago, and I'm taking credit for it. So I did call this weeks ago.
You take the credit, sir. You take the credit.
That's very fun. No, but I did, and they did it well, because it wasn't blatant. It was just one quick slide of the knuckles, and he fucked off. It disappeared. Sorry, I'll say that again. One quick slide of the knuckles, and then he left the ringside. Sorry, Sean. And they did it well. Why? I mean, I'm sure Jake's going to come on to this in a minute. The follow-up, I didn't like. I know circumstances dictated some of it, but It was a great finish. It was the right thing to do. Absolutely the right thing to do. Moxley can go off on his holiday in a couple of weeks. And, you know, he's, like him or not, he's carried the company. You can't argue with his work ethic or what he does for the company. And it's MJF's time, without a shadow of a doubt. And I hope that they keep it on him for a decent amount of time, because they do have a tendency to hotshot it.
I'm so happy that the firm did not get involved with this match. Like, if the firm would have gotten involved with this match, this would have been a huge thumbs down for me. You know, if MJF did win the title. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the main event. So
Okay, gentlemen, let's slide over to the AEW after Full Gear. Jake, you were there live and in person as the strip got flipped as the country heroes from Full Gear walked into Chicago, and the Death Triangle became the most popular team on the planet.
I had a hell of a time going to the Wintrust Arena the day before Thanksgiving for Dynamite, and it was kind of interesting because like before the show started, I could have had this. I had the sense that it was going to be 75 to 25% behind the elite, and what the divide will be like. I even tried to start like a Colt Cabana chant. I'm guilty as charged on that, and the people behind me said, "Shut up, Mark." It's kind
You turned around to me and said, "Do you not know who I am?"
you not know who I am. I'm one of the members of one of the best podcasts around now.
I'm a big deal. I'm a big deal around
big
here.
deal now. I have a lot of influence here. You witches. So get the hell out of here.
Brilliant, Jay.
But yeah, I mean, with all the AEW events in Chicago that I've went to, this was probably the craziest I have ever been in, and I will definitely not forget this night. With the Death Triangle and the Elite. I mean, wow, was it so ruckus. I expected like a riot to break out in like any minute during that match. Like it was interesting because like there was one section of the crowd, that chanted for CM Punk, same old shit, F the Elite, and then there was also and at the same time there was another section of the crowd that says FCM Punk, that chanted FCM Punk, Colt Cabana, and then there was a couple of guys next to me that said Okada was better. Okada is still better to Kenny Omega. But man, like, dude, like the Bucks and Kenny, say what you want about them, but they were very smart in this match because they knew what they were getting into, and you saw Matt Jackson trying to go for the buckshot lariat, and he mocked the missed buckshot lariat, and also with Kenny Omega doing the GTS. And that got a huge pop from where I was at and all around the arena as well. So they knew what they were going into, and they decided to give a middle finger to the Chicago crowd, and that's what they definitely did. But I mean, I think the crowd was still entertained by all six guys involved. That they didn't really like. Yeah, I mean they did hijack some parts of it, but they were so entertained by all six guys. So I got to give props to that. But yeah, overall, it is kind of interesting though because like we know that Tony Khan isn't always known for introducing the crowd before the show starts and sending off the crowd after the show. He did not come out once, which is pretty interesting.
You know why?
Yeah,
a couple of quick questions, Joe, before we move on. Was any of the arena blacked out?
Oh, well, I mean, in terms of blacked out,
in the upper tier or behind the guard cam?
I will take some parts of it, like, and as far as like drunk of it, so yeah.
Also, what was the crowd's reaction to that opening segment? Obviously, MJF couldn't be there, which is fair enough. We knew this, but sure. I personally thought that they could have had a pre-recorded message to go on the big screen, which would have added to Regal coming out and basically teasing the crowd before you had the confrontation with Moxley, which, do you know what, I thought was a bit of a letdown, and mainly because of Danielson's reaction.
I'll get to that right now. There was definitely a lot of people in my section that were very disappointed that MJF wasn't there. They really wanted to see him. I mean, there was like a huge section behind me that had the scarves, the Burberry scarves, and I mean, especially for All Out when he came back, you know how big of a pop that was, and but I got to say that opening segment, it was so even then in the crowd, it was really weird how they decided to go with it. I mean, but I got to say, Regal was. I mean, even though if MJF wasn't there, Regal was the heel of the night. You know, all of us booed the crap out of him. And
what?
Yeah,
you booed Regal?
No, not me, not me. I was trying to be objective. But
boo Regal. You dare boo, sir. His lordship.
But everybody around me was chanting "F you, Regal," and then Regal sucks, and it was so funny to watch though. But I got to say, like, you know, considering how Regal is so soft spoken, so eloquent on the mic, and you know, people hating him, it was like so surreal to watch. I mean, oh my god, he was the heel of the week, or he was the heel of the night for the entire show. I mean, damn, that was so good. Such a ruckus reaction. But I mean, we'll get to it right now. I don't know why Bryan Danielson decided to interrupt and try to talk down to try to interfere with Moxley and basically try to beg him on his knees that I love Regal, I love him all his heart, and try to convince Moxley to not hurt him. Like, why did he decide to do that? It was like it was so like cringe worthy to watch, David.
Made no sense. And I'm sat there and I'm cringing. I was actually uncomfortable watching it, which, you know, it's like, Brian, what the... You know, all right, it put a tease in that is Brian going to... Because obviously the Blackpool Combat Club, in theory, are in tatters. And it put the tease in, is Danielson going to go with Regal and MJF?
Yeah. It really does make sense. So that was my thoughts on that. But the pop of the night had to go to... the return of the House of Black. We were when we saw the arena like flutter a little bit and had some lights down, we were like, everybody in our section was like, what the hell is going on? Like, is there technical difficulties there? And then we found out that the House of Black has returned and Malachi Black is back with the company, and with everybody there, and you know how and you know, Julia is Julia, so there you go. But I'm really happy that Malachi is doing better, and hopefully, he's doing better personally and emotionally.
Tommy End, I met him on ICW shows 3 or 4 times, and he is a top fella. Not someone you genuinely, legitimately want to upset. You know, he's one of these that isn't just, you know, that isn't his character. He's a tough MF. But he's a lovely fella as well, and couldn't do enough. So yeah, I love his style, and I love what he does if he's allowed to do it. So, you know, good luck to the House of Black. I hope they get push.
Definitely there. So, and I stuck around for the Rampage taping. It was okay. I mean, Chris Jericho and his group had an opening segment, which is kind of funny. And then and I know he's gonna stick with a Claudio audio for the next match. So, but overall, I had a hell of a time Wednesday. I mean, it was definitely one of the better tapings of AEW in Chicago that I've definitely been at. So,
excellent, good stuff, mate.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been your review of AEW Full Gear and the AEW Dynamite After Full Gear. Now we're going to slide over to part 1 of my interview with Mila Smidt. In this part of the interview, we start out talking about her being the first ever TPW titles champion. It's a promotion in France. And we start with her early career. It's going to lead up to 2018, where she suffers a ACL injury. And it starts in 3, 2, 1.
Radio Free Pro Wrestling proudly presents Center Stage. Help David and Sean welcome this week's guest to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, It gives me extreme pleasure and honor to introduce this week's guest to the center stage here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. She has blazed her own path through the world of professional wrestling, coming from a family of freestyle wrestlers. She has been the first ever TPG Tigers champion, the first Square Gold champion, and she just recently lost her German Wrestling Federation women's title in a first ever battle royal. I give it to you guys, Mila Smidt. Mia, how are you doing?
Hi guys, hi. Thank you so much for having me first. I'm doing great, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing well. We were talking before we were recording that I had a chance to see you wrestle, because I kind of forgot you wrestled Eva Valkyrie back in NXT UK. And I remember seeing that match and going like, you were somebody who stood out to me. I'm going like, why did they keep you around for a bit? Because you were freaking good.
Oh, thank you so much. That's awesome. I hope you enjoyed the matches that you saw and you had fun. Yeah, it was something. Like it was NXT UK was incredible. Now let's see for NXT Europe and what's next.
So I remember you tweeted out after you won the Tigers Championship that it was historic. I know that was the first all-women's show with the all-women's main event. How did that make you feel? How do you think your 9-year-old self would have thought about that?
Honestly, there's always something special when you really think about it. That's just like making a history. And like, for me, it's making a history is not just a personal satisfaction. Of course, it is on one point, but it's more important than that. For me, it's more like opening doors and, when I think back in the days when there were men like the Divas era and everything, like to just open doors for us right now to do what we do and perform at the level we do. And so for me, it's just like giving something back to wrestling and opening more doors for the next generations. And so, yeah, I'm really proud about what we all have done, because there was a first all-female show for this promotion and female main event where I defended my title against Mila Grace. It was epic match. It was really, really nice. It makes me really proud about the women right now, what we do, and just that we're just kicking more doors,
Exactly. I feel like we're going through a new golden era of women's wrestling, because we had that era around 2010 when you saw Victoria for the first time, and she was in Impact Wrestling or TNA. And to me, they were the foundation of this new generation of professional wrestlers that's coming up now that we get to enjoy wrestling like you.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it started with like TV companies like WWE, TNA and stuff, and like, it's just slowly but surely spread out to the independent scene where we all like on the same page doing more and pushing ourselves and kicking doors and just, showing more that and just pretty faces, and also like showing that we work hard and that we can do as good as the men and we can compete with them and we can do a lot of stuff and cool stuff. So it's just evolving in a good way, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, and especially in France, because French culture is a little bit different when it comes to sports, and especially with professional wrestling. It seems to, you would think like, oh, hey, Paris, one of the largest cities in Europe. It should be a hotbed for professional wrestling, but it's just the difference in cultures.
Yeah, for other countries I've been working in, I think for sure France needs to still evolve in mentalities, like educate people about wrestling and about wrestling entertainment. And because they really like wrestling. Like we have a lot of good crowds and, people who are involved and like great reactions and stuff. It's just maybe like to spread it more, educate more people, like do maybe go on tour in more cities and, make it just people know more about wrestling, I guess. Because if you compare like with Germany or the UK and stuff, like I feel like it's a way more famous and people are like just so well educated about wrestling. They know what's going on and they know how they need to react and what, like they just enjoy it,
Yeah, I really feel with like England and Germany, it has a little bit to do with the fact that there has been an American presence there with like military bases and stuff. So they kind of have the influence of the American like entertainment and sports. And we just saw one of the biggest football games in Germany be like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing another team, and that crowd just ate up American football. And it's kind of the same way with wrestling.
I agree on one point, but I have to disagree as well. I think it can be part of this with the American influence, but I also heavily think that the culture that we have in wrestling, that the history we have, if you look at it, like back in the days, there were like golden eras. Like they were literally legends and great time for wrestling in history. We have a big history in Europe about professional wrestling, especially in the UK or Germany or Australia. If you look at back in the days, they had like big tournaments. They were all on tour. If you look at Marty Jones, Robert Brookside, like all the guys like this, back in the days, on the independent scene and in the UK, or if you look, even in France, they had like, Guy Mercier, they had a lot of people, Axel Dieter in Germany. Those guys were legends. And during those times, wrestling was really, really famous. And there were like tournaments where they were wrestling every day. And yeah, I think it's one part the American influence nowadays with the TV companies that we all know, but also a big history part that we have in Europe, especially in those countries.
You come from a Olympic wrestling background. How did your family take to you wanting to blaze your own path and go into professional wrestling?
That's interesting. So yeah, I come from Olympic wrestling. I've been there for like 12 years, been winning titles and stuff. I did high level. So my whole like family, guys in my family are in Olympic wrestling. And as I was good and I was making my way there, when I turned into, okay, I want to be a professional wrestler. This is something I always had in my mind, but I just didn't speak it too loud because I knew they wouldn't really get it especially when I was a kid, It will be like those kind of things. Oh yeah, but you just a kid. Like maybe you will change your mind. It's not for sure and stuff like that. Because when you try, you change your mind pretty often. So I was afraid not to be taken seriously at first. I didn't speak it out too much. But then when I made my turn into pro wrestling, they were kind of like in shock at first, and then they were like, "But this is not wrestling." And what are you doing there? This is not a job and stuff. And then they had a hard time to understand. But by me going all over the world and working every week and wrestling all the time and stuff, now they understand more. And after seeing my match and stuff and me explaining them what it was about, like they just got to understand, and now they just support me, and that's really cool. It's really nice for me now to see that Olympic wrestling and pro wrestling are kind of like working together at some point, because there were some shows in France where, for example, there was La Nuit du Catch organized by Tom Lerfa, my mentor, and so I've been on this show. And for example, we both trained there in Nice at the Olympic Training Club. We both know like the trainers and stuff like that. And for this show, it was in Nice, and we had like the Olympic wrestlers were just coming into the venue and help us, building up the ring and putting the mats all like around and stuff and setting up the place. So that was really nice to see both working together.
That's cool. Having a Olympic background in wrestling, to me, it makes sense to have that background because it makes all the moves and stuff in professional wrestling seem just a little bit more snug, and it gives a different feel to the wrestling. It makes it more real, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I truly feel like Olympic wrestling is kind of the base for pro wrestling. Because if you look at it, if you talk about American influence and TV companies back in the days, especially, if you look at a lot of wrestlers, they come from Olympic wrestling. If you look at Brock Lesnar, if you look at Shelton Benjamin and like Jake Gables, Kurt Angle and stuff, like there's a lot of guys who come from Olympic wrestling or has a background in martial arts, and it makes things look real, like look more credible and realistic, because it is real, and that's what they do real. And then for me, when I learned pro wrestling, I felt like it was easier for me to learn the moves and to learn the positioning and to keep, everything in mind because of my training in Olympic wrestling. It just came to my head and stayed there, and it was just like, easier to learn everything and to remember everything. And so, yeah, I think like even about mobility, coordination, like body movement, stuff like balance and everything, I feel like having a background is really, really important when you first you want to be a professional wrestler. I think it's you gain so much time by learning a sport like Olympic wrestling or judo, stuff like that before, because a lot of people start just with pro wrestling and then they see themselves like taking ages before being able to do their debut in the ring and stuff like that, because they don't have that background before, and so they have to learn all from the beginning. Whereas when you have a background, you have already some things that your body knows already. You don't need to change some stuff, like the roles and everything. It's already done. You can move forward and actually learn pro wrestling.
Exactly. Now, I know that your ring name, Mila Smidt, holds a very special meaning to you. Can you explain it to us?
Yeah, it is pretty special. So at first I was looking for stuff and I couldn't find any idea and anything. And at the end of the day, I just came up with something that will pay tribute to the women in my family throughout the generations. And so Mila was the last newborn in my family at this moment, and Smith is the family name of my mother. So Mila Smidt was like a name, like several names for my family members.
See, I thought it was so cool that you took two family members' names and put it into your ring name, and that's your banner as you're going out here into the world. That was so freaking awesome.
Thank you.
You grew up in the eastern part of France, so when you were starting doing any of your Olympic wrestling training, you had to travel around France just to be able to train.
Yeah, because as I said, I come from the east part of France, northeast part, and there was like nothing, like no pro wrestling school or real pro wrestling school with real trainers and good trainers and stuff that could make me really improve and everything. So I had to travel a lot to learn pro wrestling and also to find myself, find my style, find who I am in the ring. So a lot of help I had from Tom Larufa, who I said like he's my mentor, but he lives in the south of France in Nice, so we couldn't have the opportunity to train together really often. So I usually had to drive for hours, like to go to Paris to a school there named ABC, where I could train sometimes and see about my best friend's place, Anastasia Bardo, who was my tag team partner at some point as well. So I could manage to have at least one or two trainings and then go back to France. So it was really expensive and it was really long. So it was 8 hours back and forth, just for like one or two trainings. And then when I started having more bookings and wrestling all over Europe and stuff and all over the world, so I took just every opportunity on my travels, like to just go and train wherever I was. So I trained a lot in the UK. I've been to Knuckle's gym in London. I've been to Dragon Pro. I think it's a new name now, but it was in Wales. I've been to Manchester with Marty Jones at the Square Circle Academy training. I've been training in Pure G with Mr. Tiger Taguchi-san, a former WCW superstar in Japan. And I've been training in the US when I was on tour. I've been training in MCW. I just try like to make the most of it. Every time I travel somewhere and I have time, I try to step in the ring and keep on learning and keep on working on myself. Now I live in Germany and I train at Nordisch Fighting Club with Carsten Kretschmer, who's a veteran in the German scene. So I train there at the moment. So yeah, it's the first time really since I'm in Germany where I have a school nearby my house where I can just like drive a little bit and can train on a regular basis. Before that, it was really chaotic. So yeah, but it's interesting because it just forced me to push myself and just do more.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of giving you, the world has been really your school, and you've been able to just pick and choose pieces and meld it together into your style.
Absolutely.
And it shows when you enter the ring.
Thank you. I hope it does. Yeah, I mean, I really found myself a lot in Japan with the style because it was really based on fighting sports. And when I was training there, I just felt like I was training in Olympic wrestling again. It was really nice. I found myself a lot in the UK as well. I love the British strong style. I love the technical stuff because I come from Olympic wrestling, as you know, and for me, it's I see beauty in techniques, and I love that. This is really more my style. So yeah, every time, I try to pick up some stuff and see what works for me and let on the side what doesn't, but try to work on everything so I'm able to do a bit of everything and keep pushing on my side.
One thing I found really interesting, you were talking about your first ever TV taping, and your first ever TV taping was actually in Pakistan.
Yes.
And I haven't seen the match. I have seen the layout for this TV taping. You were walking down the ring, and it's like a semicircle, and all I see is like all these Pakistani flags and these lasers and stuff. They went all out. And I was thinking, like, if it was me, I was looking at it, I'd be like in awe. Then I'd be like, okay, we're here now. Let's go.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like really, when I think about it back then, it was awesome. But it was really scary for me because it was my first TV taping, and I saw myself having that first TV taping in front of like maybe like 5,000 people, and like maybe there was like something like 20 cameras around, whether if it was for the taping or media stuff around, media TV or anything. So it was really scary, but at the same time it was so cool. I was like, yeah, I'm getting there. How cool is it, to tell yourself that first TV taping you have is on the opposite side of the world, and that was cool. That was really cool. By the way, I'm coming back to Pakistan this year, so I'm really excited about it.
That's cool. So I know you've been to like 16 countries. You wrestled in 16 countries. You just came to the United States back this spring. So I'm looking forward to see you come back here. Where's one place that you haven't been yet that you want to just cross off your list of traveling?
Oh, wow. Yeah, so first, like with the United States, it was amazing, and I really hope I can come back soon. I'm gonna work on that for next year, for sure. Now there was like Japan was amazing, but I don't know. I never been to Australia. Now, I think I would like to go there as well and have that experience about Mexico as well, where I haven't been. I've been working with Mexican wrestlers from CMLL and stuff in Spain, but I haven't been to Mexico. So I think there will be like some places, the next places I would like to discover would be Australia, Mexico, and then wherever life like takes me, honestly, like I just want to discover the world and, just wrestle everywhere and meet people and just enjoy my time. Like, honestly, it is always something really interesting when you go in a new country, meeting new people, like learning about a new culture as well. It's always really, really interesting to me. So I don't know, I go with the flow.
Doing this, like looking through your background and stuff as I was getting ready for this interview, that seems to be the thing with your life is like you're able to take the punches and just roll with it. Because I know you had a serious ACL injury back in 2018 as you were actually doing professional wrestling and freestyle wrestling at the same time.
Yeah.
And you got injured in freestyle wrestling. How hard was that year away from all kind of wrestling?
That was really hard. That was, I think, like the hardest year that I had so far with COVID year, but it was different. I mean, physically, because during that year before getting injured, I was still studying in sports university. I was doing still Olympic wrestling. I was starting in pro wrestling, and I was preparing a bikini contest and bodybuilding. So it was a way too much for my body. Now lesson learned. And so my body just broke down, and I broke my leg. So I broke my knee on the mat, and I had my surgery, and I was out for a year. And I think it's not really because physically pain is not really scaring me. Like I can handle it, and it's medicines nowadays. You can take like some painkillers, stuff like that, and it can release the pain and everything, and it goes away. Like that pain goes away at some point. Like mentally, you can tell yourself, I'm in pain today, but like in next week I will be less in pain, and then less and less. And like the pain that you have post surgery, it's a good pain. It's a pain that comes before you heal. It's the pain you need to be able to heal, so you can find reasons and stuff and get out of it. But what was really hard for me was mentally about pro wrestling, to tell myself that I would be out for a year and not being able to compete in Olympic, not being able to be in the ring in pro. And I had that fear, really like deep fear, to waste time on my career, and to have like that time out would be like something that would close doors for me in the future, or if I wouldn't be able to come back 100% or something like that. But I truly believe that pro wrestling, that's for sure, pro wrestling was the thing that kept me going, and that was stuck in my head, and I was like, I need to when I start, like, for example, been to the physical therapist, and I start, like, I had to learn how to walk again. If I don't know if people like realize that, but it's like something that you do every day, and it's just normal. But then you break your knee, and you like have to learn it again, and that's terrible. Like mentally, that was terrible. But every time I had to struggle and stuff, I just thought about the ring. I just thought about first thing I say, if I want to go back in there, I need to get through this. I got this. And then like it just kept me on going. And yeah, it was a really tough time, but we managed. I'm here, and I don't feel anything anymore. Like my knee is great, so it just hard time passed. We just need to keep on going.
Gentlemen, what do you think of Mila Smidt so far?
Yeah, it's great, Sean. Very interesting. Obviously, a really passionate young lady about the business who's got a great story behind that. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait for part 2, Sean.
Very good first interview. I mean, I heard the passion of her voice and how excited she is. So I mean, looking forward to the whole interview that's coming up soon. And I can't wait for you guys to listen to it too.
Okay, gentlemen, we are going to talk about Survivor Series here, and we're going to start off with the first match. Now, my question to you before we get to this, gentlemen, 2 working matches at Survivor Series?
Hell no.
Hell no.
Yeah.
But they got away with this one on this show, but hell no.
The thing about war games, like, and I really like the war games concept. Ever since I've gone back and seeing the old NWA WCW days. But the thing about war games is that it's not just a match to book like every year. I mean, it's the major blow off to a feud. And I mean, the men's match was really good for war games, but the thing is that it's organic, and it's not just some match that you can just book every year. I mean, it has to be like a major blow off to a feud. So I mean, considering with the women's match, I thought it was okay, but yeah, I mean, it didn't need like a gender specific, I hate
the women's match had. It was again. Obviously, you've heard already my comments on the AEW Full Gear show. This was not that. Yeah, they have the stupid spots in it that they seem to have to get the ladies over. But you had Nikki Cross in there. You had Rhea in there. You actually had, Bailey. You got some ladies that can lead, that can take it on. I hate the Bianca Belair. I would like Bianca Belair more if she didn't use the hair shot so much. And finally, what I did like about this, someone used, as Sean and myself, I've moaned at Sean about this for ages. Someone used her hair against her and tied her up in the cage. So
finally,
you come in with that hair, you're gonna suffer for it. But I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it at all, which I was expecting to hate it, and I found myself getting drawn in. Now, Jacob, I've got to tell you something here, mate, because this is a long-term RFPW story thing, so I don't want you to think ill of me, because I really, really am unreasonable. Look at Burkhead, Jack, he's nodding his head because he knows where I'm going with this. You think I'm bad with Toni Storm? Becky Lynch, I'm 100% worse with. Always have been, always will be. It's personal because I've met her on a couple of occasions before she went to Canada and before she became the Becky Lynch that came out and did twee Irish dancing because Vince thought that would suit her accent, and gone on to become the star she is. So you will never, ever, out of this voice, hear any words of praise for her. I'd just like to get that clear. And that still applies in this match.
Damn. Thanks for letting me know on that. So but it's kind of unfortunate.
Don't ever think if whenever this comes up, Sean just knows what's going to come and resigns himself to it. And I'm just giving you the background. I cannot stomach the woman at any price. However, Nikki Cross was in there. Yay! So I'm all right with that.
I'll have a bias for Becky Lynch, obviously. And the one thing is that she and I went to the same university. So I get regret to that. So it's so funny. Yeah. She went to Columbia. Well, not obviously not in the same time frame, but yeah, she's also like a Columbia alum. So.
Well, I thought this was the better of the 2 war game matches, just for the simple fact that in the men's war game match, they gave the baby faces the advantage. So here's the Bloodline trying to overcome the odds. And oh, by the way, they did.
I was going to rant at you saying that that's going to be the better of the two War Games matches, but I was like, what are you trying to say?
I take your point, Sean, but are the Bloodline baby faces? And you know why the Bloodline are not necessarily heels in that match, because of one man and one man only, because he's turning them baby faces.
Mm.
Yes, I mean the whole story behind this men's War Game match is, would Jay and Sebi come together? Would they hit men fences? And yes, they did. And
they did. They did.
It was great storytelling. They built this and built this and built this, and it's not over. And I think that is it's been a long while since the WWE have had something like this, and I'm presuming because Hunter's at the helm, they're doing it right. Sami Zayn is just must-see TV.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was. I think the best, like the most entertaining thing to watch in SmackDown. So I was pleasantly surprised on that. And they probably caught you by surprise as well.
Yes, 100%. And now they've stuck in, obviously, as the programming's going forward. They've Kevin Owens is in the mix with Sammy, and everyone knows his history going back to the Ring of Honor and what have you, as Steen and Generico. It's just brilliant, and I'm loving every minute of it. And I really, really. And I never thought I'd say this. I really, really enjoyed this pay-per-view.
Well, what's going to be kind of forgotten about was there's a AJ Styles versus Finn Balor match in 22 War Game matches, and it was to me it was the best match on the card.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, definitely one of the best ones. It was a soft hit for a well-worked match. That felt rather trivial. So, I mean, but what I kind of liked about this, like the broadcast team finally told viewers the story of the Bullet Club between the two rather than dancing around it. It was a nice touch. And, yet it's still just another company's ancient history that doesn't feel significant today. But ultimately, this felt like, it was okay. It was another match in what will ultimately feel like an endless series of matches between the OC and the Judgment Day. It was a good match, but I'm not looking forward to what's going to come up next. So, just saying.
That's the fair point. I agree with Sean in that it was my match of the card, but also, Jake, you're right. They bang on. They've got to be careful not to overdo it, and this is the WWE we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gentlemen, there was 2 title matches on this pay-per-view. And I could care less about either one of them. Shotzi versus Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown title. It lasted 7 minutes, thank God. And that's all we need to say about this match.
Nothing else to say. Ronda Rousey, I mean, I've been completely disappointed in the second run with her. I mean, overall, it just felt like I just don't know what it is with her. I mean, it just feels like she's just.
You can see it because we all know what Ronda Rousey can be like. But the heart's not in it. End of story.
Yeah, she just doesn't care. I mean, I think she's just there to pretend to be pro wrestler and not be like the difference between Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar, and not trying to be sexist here, but Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar. He is Brock Lesnar, the behemoth. And he has no other motive than to destroy people. But with Ronda, they want to portray her as this badass, but the way that she presents her cadence, it just feel, and the way she comes out, like she just keeps smiling and smiling. That's not the Ronda Rousey I know to be when she was dominant in the UFC. So it's like it's unfortunate that it's gone this way because I mean I'm just not a fan of her at the moment. I mean I just couldn't care less now. So
it was the lowest point of the card. I think it's fair to say.
Okay, gentlemen, the other match was a triple threat for the United States title, as we saw Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley versus a repackaged Austin Theory. Did we do anything for Austin Theory? Did we save Austin Theory by giving him the U.S. title again?
Okay, mate. Right, while Jake stops laughing, I'll try not to make him laugh anymore. I was quite happy with this result. It won't make a blind bit of difference to repackage it. They've done so much damage to him, but this is what they should. The Money in the Bank fiasco is well documented.
Sure.
I mean, you got the smallest guy of the three. But I enjoyed it, and I'm really, really glad they put it on him. I hope that they can work with him with it, and it becomes a positive rather than a negative.
Yeah. Nothing else can be said. What you said, David. So, but other than that, I'm kind of I'm kind of happy with the results, and I'm pretty happy that Rollins is back as a babyface. We haven't talked about it yet, but what do you think of that decision?
I don't mind Seth Rollins. I think he's been given some pretty goofy shit to deal with, and he runs with it, and he doesn't care. He does the best job he possibly can with it. We know his in-ring abilities. We know that he's got it in ring. Should it need to come to it, so he gets a pass there from me, no matter what. But he has been given some pretty awful characters to deal with, and he just runs with it, and he does the best of it.
He just runs with it, yeah, just runs with it. Like I got to give him credit on that.
I have a lot of time Seth Rollins, I really have. Or Tyler Black. I mean, I still call him I'd still want to call him Tyler Black, but but yeah, I've got a lot of time for the bloke, and a lot of time for his abilities. Apart from the fact he's got very, very, very poor choice in women.
Okay. I can't. That was very clever.
Sean, tell me ready, mate.
That is so funny.
Sean, come back to me, mate. Have you got something else to introduce? Ladies and gentlemen, I've got...
Damn.
Ladies and gentlemen, that has been your WWE Survivor Series War Game review. Now for our main event, we're going back to the second part of my interview with Mila Smidt. We're going to pick up just after she recovered from her ACL injury. That was like a year-long recovery. And 2 months after she was cleared, she got an email from the WWE saying, come to Germany, let's give you a tryout. And we picked the story up there, and we're going to carry it on through her time in NXT when she had to wrestle Eva Valkyrie in a empty BBT sports studio. And we finish up with her latest stuff where she's wrestling in the German Wrestling Federation. Enjoy this, and Mia, thank you for being on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. You are amazing. Mia, we were just talking about you overcoming your ACL injury back in 2018. Once you were cleared, like 2 months later, you had one of the biggest opportunities you had in a while, a WWE tryout. So how did that come about?
Wow. So yeah, that was really amazing and scary at the same time again, because you never really prepared for that, right? Especially after 1 month of 1 year out, full of recovery process and stuff. So I had to, a friend of mine who was a ring announcer and also presenting sports like UFC and everything on TV, and TNA on TV in France. Célian Varini, he sent me a link of the, tryout where I had to fill in files and stuff. And I was like a bit confused. I didn't know if I had to do it or not. And I asked him and I asked my mentor, Tom, about it. And, they both said, yeah, you have nothing to lose by trying, of course you're not 100% yet, but you have 2 months to prepare and you just go there and give your best. And it's always be like a learning opportunity and good stuff for your career and good learning things. Like you will learn a lot of things and stuff. So you have nothing to lose. And so I fill in the papers. I send them back the files and stuff. And in my head, I was like, I didn't think they would take me on a trial because of my injury that just happened. And I was like, there's no way they're going to take me. But as they said, I have nothing to lose. So by trying, so let's go. And then it was 1 month was gone. And then 1 month before the tryout, I had an answer. I just received an email from WWE telling me that I was part of it. Like they were inviting me for the tryout, and I couldn't believe. I was like, oh my God, like it's crazy and stuff. So I really tried to prepare myself as the best way I could. I tried to train and really good to watch my diet and stuff. And just getting ready, getting my physical condition ready and stuff. But I knew I wasn't 100% yet. It takes a while to get back, really at the shape and physical condition as you were before, after that kind of injury. I was just in a mindset okay, I'm going to give my best and see what happens. Knowing the fact that also I only had maybe 10 matches in pro wrestling. So I was a rookie. I was really green. And so I believe they were more interested about my background back then than my pro wrestling skills, because I was really, really new. So I went there, and it was 3 days tryout in Germany, in Cologne. And it was so impressive at first, I was like, wow, this is crazy. There were like big WWE coaches like Matt Bloom, there were Robbie Brookside, there was Sarah Stock at the moment, and there was like the guys from Imperium, Ludwig Kaiser now, and Giovanni Vinci, and they were there, and there were like a lot of, and then the last day there were some WWE superstars coming to say hi and stuff. So, but the whole process, it was 2 trainings per day. So we were training in the morning, we had a break to eat, and training in the afternoon again. And I think like I just gave my best, and I know I did good. Like I had really, really good feedbacks and stuff, because they were informed about my former injury. And they were like, I had good feedbacks from them. They were happy about what I was doing. But I knew like it was frustrating for me, because I knew I could give so much more, but that injury was, kind of putting me down at some point. And then the last day I should have had a match, but my leg was so sore, because I was used to train once per day again, where my knee was okay for 1 training per day again. But maybe like the 2 trainings, like intensive trainings, the whole day and stuff, that it was not ready yet for it. So the last day was really, really sore, and the doctor of the medical team just told me that I shouldn't do my match, so I couldn't do my match the last day. I was really frustrated about it, I was like, wow, it's done, it's over, So like when I went home, of course I wasn't signed there. I went home and I was a bit frustrated about it, but now when I have a step back and look on it, I'm glad I had a no there, and it was really a no, it was a yes, but it was like, you need to work on this, you need to work on that, you need to hear your knee 100%. They were really, really caring. I know, like they took really good care of us. I always had really, really good experience with WWE. Really great team. And I was like, nowadays I'm glad that at this moment I had a no, because it just like allowed me to come back and just like heal my knee first 100%, and come back in the independent scene and just like travel the world and do what I was doing. And also, I had to struggle, like as we talk about, to train, to travel to places, to make a name for myself. And I'm glad I struggled to do that. I'm glad I was in that position, because I had to push myself really, and to really work hard. And I truly believe that pain teaches a lot. And yeah, I'm glad, because I was too new anyways to get signed for them to do something with me at this point. And I'm glad I could make my own experience by myself, by struggling, by failing at some point, and by doing mistakes and stuff. And I'm glad I could do my own way, like in the indie, to prepare myself and find myself by myself with my work and stuff. So now I know I'm ready to take my work to the next level, and I'm ready for it. But back then, I just took the positive things, and I know it was like such a great experience. And I took every advice that they gave me, and to put it to work. And yeah, that's all positive stuff.
Exactly. I mean, the door opened. You just had to take the chance at it, because you didn't want to be that person go like 10, 15 years down the road. Like, what happened if I actually went there and try it, even though maybe I'm not at my best?
Oh yeah,
100%.
I mean? You're 100% right. Like it was the same with NXTUK at the end of the day, because I wasn't injured or anything, but I didn't wrestle for like a year, like 18 months or something, because of COVID. And my first match back in the business, was with NXTUK on an empty studio for the TV tapings. And I was like, wow, okay, that's it. It was my welcome back to the business kid. And it's always like really stressful, but it's always good learning experience, because you need to, in this business, you need to be able to work under pressure, and you need to be able to, no matter the circumstances, like if you got injured before, if you didn't wrestle so much, if you got sick or whatever, like flu or something, you need to, when you come back, you need to make the most of it on every show, on every time, and just give your best, and everything is a learning experience. Every mistake you make is a good thing. Embrace everything. And so yeah, I always take it as a challenge, like now when I know I wasn't really same NXTUK. I knew I didn't wrestle for a while and stuff, and I was stressed out about it. But then, you just have to take a step back and see, like, okay, that's a test, that's a challenge, that's a learning experience and stuff. Just take it, give everything, and see what happens.
So how crazy was it to be in that pandemic era of NXTUK where it was literally just you, Eva Valkyrie, the referee, and maybe 2 camera people, and that's all you had?
That's all we had, and that's all like we had to work with. And it was disturbing at first. Like, of course you can't show it, and you don't, we just keep on wrestling the way we wrestle, even with the full crowd and stuff. And the work is the same, whether you have thousands of people or 20 people or nobody, just cameras, you have to be able to do the same work. And it's also a good experience. Like, as I said, everything is good, and it's a learning process. But it was, going back there after no wrestling for a while, it was scary. And it was like, wow, like I can't work the crowd because there's no crowd. I can't, have the feeling of people, the noise that people make and stuff, like their reaction stuff and reply to this. I can't have that exchange with people, and we can't share that moment right now because there's nobody in the room. I still need to be able to deliver a real good match and make people have emotions and reactions behind their screens, and that was kind of a challenge as well. And yeah, it was a great experience. I've learned a lot throughout that.
Okay, so in that 18-month period before you had that match like NXT UK, how hard was the French lockdown? Because I know it was kind of like the same as England, where it was really a hard lockdown.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. We had 3 lockdowns, if I remember well, and I guess like for a few of them, I think the first 2 we had, so we were not allowed to go out. There was like kilometers limitation, so it was like 1 kilometer for the first one. It was like 1 kilometer around, so we could go out once a day just to have a walk and stuff, but not just for 1 kilometer around the house. And if you would go to work, if you would go to the doctor, if you would go to, I don't know, see relatives of yours. For example, I was taking care of my grandma, who was old and stuff, so I had to drive to see her and check on her and to, shop her food and stuff like that. And I know for every time I was going out, like more than 1 kilometer, or even during that area, we needed to have like a paper sign with the date and the time you were going out, and you had to cross the case, like if you were going out for work, if you were going out for to see somebody or whatever, and you need to have justifications for everything. And that was really hard because it was like, I can't do whatever I want, wherever I want, and yeah, so we were like just stuck in the house and having to justify every time we were going out.
Yeah, that was a crazy era because I work in retail, and I remember like that first weekend after they finally had the virus here in the States, and everybody was at the grocery store going like, let me go ahead and buy everything that I could possibly think I need for the next 2 months. And it was like nonstop busy. And it was just things you think people would never take for granted. And you just go like, now we're looking back at it and going like, we made it through, and we're hopefully better for it. I think we're better for it.
Yeah. I think like it was a hard time, but as every hard time, like a pain or anything, it never lasts, You just need to go through it and make the most of it, see the positive things. I couldn't wrestle for a year and a half, but then I just had to step back and I just had to think about how could I be possibly productive about my career, about myself, and I just allow myself to be creative and work on other aspects of the business, and how could I improve for my comeback and stuff, and have ideas and everything. And also it was a time, for me to be more with my family and with my relatives and stuff that I don't get the chance to see that much when I'm on the road and everything. So it was a bad thing for a good thing at the end of the day.
Yes, exactly. Let's talk about some more good things, because you just made your debut in the German Wrestling Federation about 9 months ago, and your very first match was for their women's world title. It was against Jessie J, and you came up a little bit short, but it starts this trilogy of matches you had for this title, and you won it back in June in a 3-way.
Exactly.
How has your time in that federation been?
Working for GWF is a blast. I love working for this company. They're like, everything is so professional and quite great atmosphere. We all like work with each other, like to push the company forward, and we're all on the same page, and it's really, really good. They really like give me a platform to express myself and to improve and really evolve. Like I have evolved a lot working with them. So I'm really grateful for my time here so far. It's been really crazy because, yeah, as you said, like as you mentioned, the first match I had there was for the women's title against Jessie J. We had such a battle like for a few months until I had this title opportunity in a 3-way where I won the title, and I wanted to make my run as best as I could, like to really lift everyone and to lift like the women's roster really high, like just to improve everything and to push each other, to push everyone to get to be the best version of themselves and do the best matches possible and best stories and everything for the fans and stuff. And I think we really did it. So like everything was really crazy around there. They're really working really hard to make everybody shine, and everybody has a spot, and everybody gets what he deserves, and hard work pays off. Everybody who's been working really hard, and look what happened. We had like the first women battle royal in history, and honestly, yeah, I lose my title there. I've been eliminated by the last 3 women standing. I went out pretty strong. They took 3 of them to eliminate me. 1 wasn't enough, so they have to be 3. But I'm I don't have any hard feeling right now because I lose my title making history. So, and there's nothing stronger than that. So now I just see for the next year what happens, and I know that big things are coming up. So I'm really excited about it.
That's cool. And oh, by the way, you were never pinned for that title, so you still got a chance to get that rematch.
Oh, that's it. I've never been pinned, so here I am. I'm still standing.
Yeah, and like you said, it took 3 people to eliminate the champion. They saw you as the biggest threat. At the end, you get down to the final 4, and they're like, let's eliminate Mia. We'll probably have a better chance if she's not in here because she's going to win it, so they just heave-ho you.
That's it. They knew it. So they've just been strategic on it.
Okay, Mia. How do you feel when NXTUK was shuttered down? And I know they're talking about bringing NXT Europe sometime in 2023, and we just don't know what it's going to be yet. How are your feelings about those?
So I was really sad to see, like NXT UK shutting down because it meant quite a lot for me. It was as I said, it was my comeback after a dark period of time. And as I said, WWE like really gave me a lot and was really important. They've always been really, really caring and everything. So and NXT UK was full of great people as well. So I was really sad to hear that, a lot of them lost their job. And so I hope for the best for NXT Europe. I don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows like where it will be, when it will be. It's WWE. They will just announce it at the last minute and make calls and stuff. And we all will have the good surprise of it. About it. So for now, I don't know, and I just hope for the best. I just keep working on myself and what I can control, and I'm excited to see. Actually, I'm really excited to see.
Me too. I'm just hoping they base it in Europe because I feel like if they try to do it here in the States, yes, you could bring in the best professional wrestlers from Europe here to the States and it would be good. It's just something about the European crowd. I feel that's what I enjoyed the most about NXT UK was the UK crowd because they took it to a whole new level.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think like the crowd in the UK was really amazing. And as I said, it just joins the idea that I had earlier about the history of pro wrestling in our countries and in Europe. So yeah, I hope it will be in Europe as well, like in those countries, because I mean it would makes the more sense to me. If you want to do NXT Europe, that it will be in Europe. And also we have so much great talents in Europe that didn't have the opportunity yet to express themselves. And we have so much good talents, whether if it's for the men's or the women, like we really, really deserve to have like that chance to have a platform to really express ourselves and show the world that what we're capable of and show the world about our history that we carrying, and the crowd, I'm sure, will be. I think the crowd is really excited. Like the fans are really excited about NXT Europe as well, because there will be like opportunities for them as well to go on WWE shows without having to travel so far or waiting for their annual tour and stuff. It will be like more opportunities for them to see wrestling and to cheer for their best, their favorite wrestlers and stuff like that. And I'm sure it will be insane. It will be so cool. I can't wait to see it.
Me too. I can't wait to see that vision come to life. Now, if I gave you the power to do, Mia, if I gave you the power to do anything in 2023, what would you do?
The power to do anything in 2023. Wow. That would be to give everybody the opportunity to leave happy and to have everything they need, and to like just protect everyone and make everyone not having anything, not being in the streets, not struggling with money, food, or whatever. Just give everybody what they need to live a peaceful and good life.
That's cool. Before we wrap up here, I do want to get to know you just a little bit better. So I'm not a wine drinker. So for a non-wine drinker, where would you suggest I would start with a wine?
I'm a wine drinker, as you can imagine. So French cliche, I know. So what I would my go-to thing when I don't know what to pick in the supermarket or at the store, it will be a red wine Côte du Rhône. It's always my go-to thing. You can't be disappointed with that. And I also like Prosecco sometimes. So yeah, that would be my two go-to things.
That's cool. So we're recording like 2 days after France had their second victory in the World Cup. They were the first team to advance to the knockout stage. How are you feeling about your home country bringing the cup back again and being the first team to do a repeat since Brazil?
That is just so awesome. That makes me really proud. And, whether if it's about football, any sports, like we are really, really good. And we're just killing it. And every time my country is victorious in something, I'm really proud of it. It's always a big thing. I remember like for the World Cup, like we all were in the streets celebrating and, celebrating together with even people you don't know and stuff. Like we're just in the streets having a drink with each other and, dancing with each other and stuff. And that was a great, great memory.
That's so cool. So Paris is going to host the Olympics in 2024. Are you excited for the Olympics coming to your country? Because I think that would be a cool experience just to go and be able to see the Olympics.
Oh yeah, I'm really, really excited for it because like during my time in Olympic wrestling, I knew a lot of people. We trained together and stuff, and I know like there's some people who keep evolving and keep training. Like they did great things, and I have like a couple of friends who will probably, some of them are already qualified, I guess, because they started qualifications already, and some others are just like training for it. And I know like I really hope like they will make it, and like just to go there and see my friends perform and like fight for Olympic Games and stuff and see the whole show and see everything live in my country, that will be like just incredible feeling, and it will be magical, I know. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I got a feeling the French are going to do the Olympics well. If I could win the lottery, that would be the place I would be in 2024 is Paris for the Olympics because I think it'd be one heck of a party.
Oh yeah, that would be insane, I'm sure.
Okay, Mia, last question for you. What is your favorite Christmas memory? Since we're almost here at Christmas, which is kind of crazy to think about, but we are.
Yeah, time flies, isn't it? I still see myself on summer, like working on my tan and stuff at the swimming pool at the lake, but no, we're already in Christmas time almost. I think my favorite, I would say my favorite, the one that really stayed in my mind, Christmas memory. Because since I'm on the road, like pretty much, I always try to, keep that time away from the road just to have my family time. Keep it for family because I don't see my family really much otherwise. But I'd say when I was a kid, because the whole family was together and we had all traditions together and it was like always a great time when I was a kid. I was innocent. I didn't know anything about, life problems or anything. So it was great to have everybody around and stuff. And I think my biggest memory was when I had that dollhouse, like the little girls' doll houses and stuff. And mine was so big and like in wood and stuff. And I remember it was kind of like as big as me, as tall as me, or like maybe even more. And I was so impressed. I think it was the biggest gift ever. The best gift ever for me. And I remember like that we were buying like some, a small bed and stuff like that. And it was really nice because I remember this year everybody was there and there was like no issue, no whatsoever. And it was, everybody was happy and I had this big doll house, and yeah, I think that was my best memory so far from
Okay, so
Christmas.
my favorite memory about Christmas, my favorite Christmas memory, I drove my parents crazy. Every Christmas, no matter what, I would literally be up either 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. I would be the first one by the tree, ready to open the presents. And they were like, "Can you not sleep in?" And I'm like, I could never sleep in because I was always excited.
That's so sweet. Yeah, we all want like to see Santa Claus when we were kids. Always stay like up the whole night to see if he's coming and ready for the gifts and stuff. And yeah, that was always a thing.
So now my favorite memory is about, I want to say 6 years ago, I was able to have my sister and her kids down on Christmas Eve. It was about to snow here in Knoxville for the first time in forever. And this having them there, and then I was excited that evening, not being able to go to sleep. We finally got moved to sleep. The next morning, they saw the snow for the first time and opened the presents. In that moment, I was like, I relearned the joy of Christmas because I was like looking through their eyes, going like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's always sweet, like sweet memories. Like Christmas always bring like good memories because we all together, family is reunited. Sorry. So it's always like good to spend time together and make new memories together. It's always a special time.
Exactly. Mia, where can we follow our new favorite female professional wrestler in the world on the information superhighway?
Oh, thank you. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and I'm new on TikTok as well. So you can find me all there. It's Mila Smidt, really simple. So yeah, don't hesitate to follow my journey into professional wrestling world.
Ladies and gentlemen, please go over to Mia's Twitter this weekend and wish her a fun anniversary as she celebrates her birthday. And thank you for being on Radio Free Professional Wrestling, Mia.
Hey, thank you so much. It was so much fun.
So, gentlemen, that is the complete interview of Mila Smidt, your new favorite female professional wrestler. What do you think?
She beats Tony Storm and Becky Lynch for me all day long. Yeah, no, very good show. Great interview. Great story. So, a lot of real life in there as well. And good luck to the girl. Hopefully she has got some talent and hopefully she'll find a good home that she deserves somewhere.
She's one hell of a talent. She won me over, and it was great hearing her story, her background, especially in Pakistan. So it was really heartwarming, and yeah, it's really good. It's a really good interview, Sean. So yeah, really good job on that. Can I just say, before we wrap it up here, it was one hell of a great month, and I just want to give a shout out to our good friends, and they definitely deserve it, because they're great friends of mine and mine, and it's John Pollock and Wei Ting from Post Wrestling. They have celebrated their 5th anniversary last week in New Jersey during Full Gear weekend, and I just want to give a shout out to them because they definitely deserve it, and they have helped make pro wrestling coverage for the better. So I got to give props to them, and you've been listening to them since the Law days, and all of us guys, we're disciples of live audio wrestling, and I just want to give a shout out to them because they've done a tremendous job these past 5 years. So
I'll just say this: Pollock's a badger and Way's entertaining, and it works.
Yeah, it works, but yeah, I mean, John is the true teller. Yeah, he tells it like it is, and Wei is just a laid back, just chill person. I mean, those two just work tremendously.
Jake, without John and Wei, there wouldn't be a Radio Free Professional Wrestling, because when me and David got together, what I had envisioned for Radio Free Professional Wrestling was something near what John and Wei do, because I wanted to keep it positive. I didn't want to go and be totally negative, and I used John and Wei as my guide as I'm going through my learning how to do this podcast.
Don't be overly negative, but also tell the truth as well. So, which is pretty good. Yeah.
I always caveat it's my opinion, and I've got my background is I'm a little bit older than Sean and a lot older than you, young Jake. And I grew up in the pits in the UK watching Regal, watching Les Kellett, watching Rollerball Rocco, week in, week out. I went. And that's where my background comes from, and that often reflects on my opinions.
And you're a war veteran, David, so you tell it like it is too. So
I am a war veteran, mate, but thank you for that. But yeah, I do tend to call it, I do tend to call it as I see it. So if I ever offend anyone, I'm sorry. Not sorry.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been this week's supersized episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Please go over to Twitter, follow the show at Radio Free PW, follow your loved host here at RFPW Sean. Jake, where can we find you on the super information, super highway?
All my thoughts, all my weird thoughts on European football, American football, hockey, wrestling, MMA, you name it, just some random crap. Twitter, at Jake Olinar, and Instagram, at jakeolinar.mp4.
Oh, bless you. You'll find me at Big Duds at DBrightly6 on the Twitter thing. David J. Brightly on Facebook. Hit me up. I'm more than happy to talk wrestling with anyone at any time. And apart from that, that is my social media skills because I'm old.
You good. Hey, but it's probably for the best. So
yeah, it's probably for the best, mate. Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this interview with Mila Smidt, please go over to Twitter and follow Mia at Mila Smidt. And her birthday is coming up this Saturday, so wish her a bon anniversary.
Hey, one hell of a time.
Ladies and gentlemen, until next week, David, Jake, everyone, stay stunning. Go England, go USA. Let's go to the knockout stage.
Tell them, Jake.
Brother, USA.
This is Sergeant Arms of Christina on behalf of the guys. Thanks for listening to today's show. Please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star rating and a review. Until next time, the liberation continues.